Today is the feast of Saints Philip and James, who were both disciples of Jesus. Philip is mentioned largely by the Gospel of John. He is supposed to have come from the same town as Peter and Andrew, which was Bethsaida in Galilee. In the first chapter of John's Gospel, Jesus calls Philip directly, and immediately after his call, Philip found Nathanael, with whom he shared his experience of Jesus, and he draws Nathanael to Jesus. To Nathanael's skepticism, Philip responds in the same words that Jesus used when he invited Philip and the first disciples, namely, come and see. In the feeding of the 5,000 with the 5 loaves and 2 fish, in which 12 baskets are gathered in the Gospel of John, Jesus tests Philip by asking him how the people can be fed. Philip's response indicates that he really fails the test because he expresses a similar skepticism that Nathanael had expressed. After the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, some Greeks get to Philip with a request to see Jesus, and this is the turning point in John's Gospel, because then Jesus will be revealed to the whole world, as is represented by the Greeks coming to Philip in order to meet Jesus. James, whose feast we also celebrate, is James the son of Alphaeus, and is found in all the 4 lists of the 12 disciples in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and in the Acts of the Apostles. Not much is known about this James, except that he was one of the 12 chosen by the Lord. The gospel text for the feast is from the Gospel of John. These verses, chapter 14, verses 1 to 6, continue the teachings which Jesus began in chapter 14. The one who knows Jesus also knows the Father, for Jesus reveals the Father as unconditional love. In Jesus, one sees Father as never before, because no one has revealed God as Jesus does. Like Thomas, now Philip does not understand what Jesus is saying, and in his ignorance asks a question. He does not realize that in seeing Jesus, he has actually seen the Father, because of the revelation that Jesus makes of God as Father. In offering himself, Jesus has offered all the revelations that the disciples need to identify the Father. Jesus can only do what the Father has told him because he is the obedient Son. And that is why all his works are actually works of the Father. Philip and the other disciples are called to be able to see Jesus as the revelation of the Father, if not in his person, at least through the works that he does. These works flow from his person and are not separate from him, but an integral part of who Jesus is. The works, too, are works of revelation. They show that the primary aim of God is not to condemn the world, but to save the world. And so the works that Jesus does are works that enhance and works that build up. Since it is Jesus who sends the disciples, the works that anyone who believes in Jesus will do will be the same as those of Jesus. In fact, these will be able to do even greater works than Jesus. These works will make known the whole story of Jesus as Word made flesh, and so will be greater even than those which Jesus himself does. Since these will be done after the whole Christ event, that is, the death, the resurrection, and the ascension of Jesus to the Father, they will continue the glorification of Jesus. They will continue to reveal to the world Jesus sitting at the right hand of God will answer every prayer of the disciples made in his name, and he will grant their petitions. As Jesus made God known to the world through unconditional, magnanimous love, so his disciples are called to do the same. The works that Jesus did have to be continued today if Jesus is to be made present and is to be revealed to the world that does not yet know him. It is the present community of disciples, each one of us who professes faith in Jesus, that has the responsibility to continue the mission that Jesus began. Whenever an enhancing word is spoken, whenever an action of healing is done, whenever love is shown in a tangible manner, then the work of Jesus continues and Jesus continues to be made present. To be sure, the revelation of God that Jesus made can also be recognized in the depths of one's heart. But this is not the whole story. It is a love that must be shared and revealed to the world if it is to be complete and whole. The incarnation was not a private or esoteric revelation given only to a select few, but an earth shattering event made visible to the whole world. So the revelation of Jesus today has to be done visibly and tangibly. Living as we are in the second wave, and in some countries, the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, we need each one of us to do our bit to reach out to the poorest of the poor. If we can provide a loaf of bread to them, if we can provide a glass of water to them, if we can provide them with some meal for their sustenance, then we are revealing Jesus again and again. These are the works that we are called to do. These are the works that Jesus did. And if we do them, then Jesus becomes alive even today. A very happy feast of Saints Philip and James. How will you, through one tangible action, make Jesus present to one poor person today?